Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of the Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about OnePunch-Man Season 3, Episode 3. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we're picking up with a conversation with Zombie Man and Dr. Genus, as he kind of, we explore their history a little bit more about him being sample 66 again, and how he basically was like the only real success that Genus had, and it ended up, Zombie Man escaped 10 years ago, and I guess he never put it together that subject was, one of the S-Class heroes, Zombie Man. But the whole conversation came up because obviously Zombie Man was ready to kill him, but it's like, right, considering what the House of Evolution was, why is it that you've never bothered building? Because even if it falls, you could always build it up and move around and stuff. But for him, what changed was meeting Saitama, because Saitama made all his life research kind of meaningless, because he's always about trying to evolve the human race, but he saw and witnessed firsthand what it was like for a being like Saitama to go past his limits. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, basically, every creature was born with limits for a reason, because too much strength can basically wear down on the person. I think it's kind of a thing of, if you have too much immense strength, like your body might not be able to handle it. So there's a certain weight there to it, but also the toll it will take on you, like on your humanity and reason, and basically saying like, every creature was created for the purposes of having a limit so they don't go beyond it, so that on some level you can always keep and preserve your reasoning so that you don't completely turn into a monster. But Zombie Man's bringing up like, well, I've seen plenty of monsters that go beyond their limit. He's like, well, those are different categories. He's like, even they're the humans who are born, gifted with abilities or a genius like himself, abilities and stuff like that. But even saying like using monsters, for example, is like bringing up like something it's vaguely talked about, but never really going too in depth about, of how people's like obsessions and stuff like that, like when you're like solely focused on something or that kind of thing kind of consumes you, you turn into a monster. But then he's also like bringing up like different entities that have popped up, like the Sea King from last season, or season 1, and the Home Dude at the end of season 1, bringing up how the fact is that they are kind of like a completely different entity, but even they kind of fall in the lanes of like, they're kind of like an exception to the rule, not the rule itself. But he talks about Saitama. It's like, you're talking about someone who was not gifted, who wasn't special, who had no talent, and through hard work broke past his own limits. And it's like, well, was there no backlash? It's like, oh, there was. He's like, he ended up going bald, but also the weight that comes with being super strong, beating every opponent with one punch. He's like, I saw it in his face after he beat my toughest experiment, and I saw that look of dissatisfaction, the loneliness, that being like so overpowered. It's like, where do you go from here? And that's obviously ties into conversations that he had with King last season. What was that, episode 9 of last season, about like, you still got room to grow even if you don't think you do. Maybe not on the power front, but on other facets of who you are, can still be further yourself in many different regards to become like a great hero. You still got links to go, and obviously that was King BSing his way through it, but it still struck a chord with Saitama. So it's interesting, and like I said, Genos is kind of looking for the perspective of, then what's the point of all my research then, if it kind of all amounts to nothing, meeting this one guy and seeing what he can do, like reached his limits and then broke through it and then went so much further. But then I love Zombie Man's like, then what's up with the Taiyaki? Like, what's up with that? And he's like, well, through my like research on like human regeneration, I learned about it. An octopus constantly growing back its legs, so it's a limitless supply, I guess, of food. So he's like, that's why we're in this particular business. So taking a little bit of some of his research in the past and kind of using it in a less effed up manner, but in a profitable enough manner. So that's what this whole business operation is, and that's kind of where we leave it off on. We circle back with Garo too, as he's fighting those two, was it King Ripper and King Bug or something like that? And Garo is holding his own, and as we know, when he fights people long enough, he quickly adapts to their move sets and stuff like that. So even to hold his up as well as he is, especially considering, yeah, he's eating food and recharged a little bit, but he's still like that beatdown was literally earlier that morning. So he's still reeling from that to some degree, but he does admit like none of them are as powerful as Bong is. So it's like, oh, I can win this. But then the slime guy who shows up being like, yo, I got beef with Gar. I'm like, who are you getting? And they show a tiny bit. And I was like, it wasn't until the episode was over. I was like, oh, right. I think it was episode 5 of last season when it was after Garo's fight with Metal Bat, when it like him and his sister kind of takes him away and stuff. Garo was about to leave, and it was like Phoenix Man and this creature showed up, and he dismissed this creature because it was going to try and attack Metal Bat while he was with his sister. It's like, right, that guy. So he has Tereo as hostage, and in that moment, King Ripper struck, just doing whatever he could, slicing him up, and like, I killed him and everything. I was like, wow, striking. And even King Bug had to stop him, like, yo, we were told not to kill him. Which even Guro, it's like, yeah, if you killed him, kill him. It's just, he just wasn't meant to be the person I thought he was. But even when they came back and tried to spin a certain tale, he was like, well, you're bullshitting, right? He's like, you don't have to lie. I mean, if you killed him, it is what it is, you know. But he must have been pretty tough for you to both have to, like, work together. It's like, it's a good thing I sent both of you. Because it's like, yeah, if it was just only one of them, that battle wouldn't have gone the way they want. I mean, also, if it wasn't interrupted and he wasn't distracted with a hostage in place. But once again, that's also further proof for them. And it's like, it adds fuel to their point of you weren't a monster. You were just half-ass playing the role of a monster, but not really being and embracing being a monster. And now King Ripper wants to keep Tereo to kind of torture him and stuff, so... Then we have the whole, was it G5, that robot who has part of Metal Knight's mask. Because we know that they've kept like part of Metal Knight's suit upon, like, I think King Gorochi like broke him in a single punch, right? Because of that whole situation, like him being like, oh, I want to study it, which I'm like, there's definitely something to that. Like either that's Metal Knight doing something else, or not, like I said, it has something to do with, once again, it's a diver knight. I can never remember. Number 9 amongst the S class. Him, not unless that's him, because we haven't seen him because he's been off the radar. So I don't know what that is. It just feels suspicious because you're just moving in a certain way that I'm like, feel, because he's like, oh, this holds valuable information. And I'm like, that just seems too convenient for you just to pop up to grab that. So we'll see. Obviously, Tereo gets thrown in the same jail cell as the kid who is the son of the higher up at the Hero Association. And that kid being like, oh, do you have any food? Oh, and gave him the only thing he had. And he's like, oh, anything else? It's like, no, dude, I just told you I don't have anything else. He's like, oh, you're useless. It's like, oh, God. Even under this situation, this kid is so up his own ass thinking he's so great, because he's thinking like, well, my dad's part of the Hero Association, well, not part of it, but like one of the big shots, so he'll send the heroes in. I've got nothing to worry about. It's like, you're a little too relaxed in this situation, because Tereo has never been in this situation. He doesn't have anyone, in his mind to save him. The only person that would is Garu in his mind, and he's in his head, it's like, oh, Garu's dead. But the kid's like, oh yeah, like, they'll come and rescue me, obviously. But when they do, if you come and work for me and serve me, I'll tell them to save you as well. It's like, Jesus Christ, kid. Even under these circumstances, it's like, hopefully that you be less of a pompous asshole, but hopefully this situation might scare him straight. Might even just feed into him being like, oh, I'm so great, I'm so special because the heroes are coming to save me. But the slime monster's telling him like, yo, we're prepared for this. Yeah, we always knew that the S-class heroes were always going to be an issue, but we've got godlike monsters on our side too, so we're ready for this. Like, I'm telling you here and now, even knowing who you still got on your side. Yeah, Metal Bat, Metal Knight, this person and this person, it's like, doesn't matter. We've got Tatsumaki, we've got Blast, we've got King, but it's kind of what the kid's rattling off, but it's like, dude, we're ready for them. We're going to wipe them all out. You kids are going to die, and they're going to die. Like, that's what the Monster Association was built for, all for the purposes of wiping out every pest that's in the Hero Association. Which, referencing Garu, we see at the very end of the episode him twitching his hand. Now, part of me wonders, is this kind of setting them up to make it so that Garu, much like Saitama, goes beyond his limits? I mean, we've seen how much he's been pushing his body, and so there might be a form of evolution that's involved here that is just like, you are a very talented person that ends up, I mean, maybe the question is, you've never reached your limit until now, and like, well, whatever stage of power you get to next, maybe that will be your actual limit, so you finally hit the ceiling. Or maybe just to parallel things with Saitama, like I was saying, he'll break through his limit and become like a whole other entity himself, like Saitama. So maybe that's where that's set up to be. Speaking of Saitama, back at his place, I love that. I don't know what he was planning to get out of it, but Genos was watching King play a game, and he's like, I don't get it. He's like, he's like, maybe I haven't reached a level where I can be. I don't know if he actually legitimately thinks like King and Saitama play certain games as like simulations for like I think he inflates them a lot more than what they deserve. Saitama's just flying by the seat of his pants. Also, King is bullshitting his way through everything. I even love that bit later on where Genos was like, King, I'm too beat up, so is Bong and Bomb, so you're the only one that can deal with this, so go out there and fight this monster. He's like, what? No. So I love that, but I'll circle back to that. But Genos is worried. I think it was maybe King that brought up like Saitama not coming back, and they were like, oh, we don't have to worry about it. It's like, but what if he found the Monster Association headquarters? Because they also were bringing up like, but yeah, it's Saitama and his personality, and everyone had that same look like, oh yeah, like, yeah, his personality being what it is, that could be an issue, but because they were like, oh, he's probably not going to come back because he's off dealing with something, because he's got all that fiery passion and stuff, and it's like, yeah, but all that is kind of a moot point when you add in Saitama's personality. But then Saitama comes back, and he's so like covered in goop, because they're like, oh my god, did you run into Garu? He's like, no, even though yes, he did, he's just not aware. The fact is, he just ran into a monster. He's like, yeah, there's plenty of monsters in this area. He's like, I don't know why. It's like the Monster Association is literally there, but once again, the lack of communication between everyone. It's like, once again, you have a hero living in the city, specifically definitely in the section of the city where the Monster Association definitely is based out of, but there's zero communication. He probably won't find out to the very end of the season. Wait, the Monster Association over here? He's like, is that why this city's been crawling with monsters? Because no one else is questioning it. I mean, that's been something we've seen throughout all the seasons, that he's always just running into stuff there. And he's also the only one that, and like saying, I guess no one knows someone lives there. And I stress this every season. Why the fuck doesn't the Hero Association know where he lives? And like anytime I'm like, oh my god, there's stuff going down in City Z, or we know that the Monster Association's there in this abandoned part of town. I mean, that's also why Fubuki went there in the first place, but I guess she's never bothered reporting it to anybody. I'm like, I guess that's just like the asinine situation that is this series in this world, where it's just like the lack of communication between this entire organization. Either way, I went on my whole tangent and diatribe. Like, I'm not trying to say it in a ranty way. It's just kind of like, why has that continuously been a thing of like, no one knows that Saitama lives there? Hell, he's not the only one now, because Genos lives there. A whole bunch of powerful people are just kicking it with him now. Yeah, put it in quotes, because King is there. Yes, Fubuki might be like Class B, but she's still really powerful. But either way, either or. So, Saitama's stressed out. He's like, the most disastrous thing happened. They're like, oh my god, what happened? Did you run into guard? Did something bad? He's like, I lost my wallet and it had like 6,000 yen in it. And everyone's like, oh, really? He's like, yo, don't act like it's not that big of a thing. He's like, oh, the Dine and Dasher. And it's like, oh my god, what was it? What was it? And it's like, oh my god, I left my cabbage in a store or restaurant or whatever, because I was so caught up in the Dine and Dash situation, both chasing after the Dine and Dasher and also being a Dine and Dasher. And it's like, oh, we have to go get, I think, and I love that Genos being like, oh my god, master, like, I'll go get the cabbage. And Bong was all about it too. And Bong's like, why are you guys making such a big deal about this cabbage? But then it turns out Fubuki shows up there because she brings it with her. But she's like, hey, yo, I'm here. Don't act like nothing's wrong. You left me, you dined and dashed, and you left me with the bill. He was like, oh, yeah, forget about that. Sorry. So she's like, yo, you owe me now. And now it's like, because of that, it's like more people just culminate and get around him. And now it's like his small apartment is getting smaller and smaller and cramped. Because it's literally what? Saitama, Genos, Fubuki, Bong, Bomb, and now King. That's 6 people who are there on a pretty regular basis. And once Fubuki found out about his place and just welcomed herself in last season, I was like, is this just going to be a regular thing? And I was like, are more and more people going to pop up? Bang and Bomb, I get it because they're still pretty banged up because it's only been a couple hours after the season 2 finale and stuff. So they're still in rough condition after using their technique that taps them out. But still, I'm like, there's definitely going to be even more people that find their way to Saitama at some point in the story. Then they get the unexpected visitor, and it turns out it's Dr. Kinseo, and he's there to check on Genos, and he's like, oh, why are you banged up? I put a lot of, repairs into you. He's like, yeah, but the enemy that defeated me was defeated by my master. It's like, oh, cool. He's like, I mean, for him, it's like, as long as you're alive, that's all I care about. That's more important than winning. And the fact is, he came suited up. I guess he was like, well, I haven't heard from Genos. I'm kind of worried about him because he had gotten a signal about, like, right, there was a little bit of distress when it came to Genos, so he came to track him down. I'm like, are we going to find out that there's going to be like a dark twist with Kenseo's character? I hope not, considering how important he is to Genos. But I love that. I just love the bit where like people are talking and then Saitama just talks over them because he's like, oh wow, he's here. Because the moment he was like, oh, I'm introducing himself, he's like, yeah, my name is Saitama, even though he wasn't finished talking. And then Saitama was like, oh, the doctor's here to pick you up. Oh well, I guess this is goodbye. Time to, wrap this up and leave, Genos. And I know Genos is like, hey, doctor, you need to wrap this up in like 20 words or less. He's like, oh, don't rush me. And brings him out some like grade A like meat or whatever. And he's like, yo, you could stay. And Fubuki's just like, why am I wasting time? Like, he's so easy to deal with. I mean, he capitulated so hard. He's always like, oh, leave. And the moment a guy hands you some like prime meat, you're like, hey, I can stay. And even Fubuki's like, are you really going to waste it by putting it in like a hot pot? And Saitama's almost like, leave me alone. Stop judging me. It's like, do you have any red wine here? And he's like, no, of course not. So, and he's like, wait, if you're asking that, are you trying to stay here too? Everybody leave. This is my place. Why are you guys freeloading here? So, Saitama's current situation, what he's worried about, what he's caught up in. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see where the next episode ultimately ends up taking us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.